I just uncovered my parents' darkest secret and why they were so determined to paint the new woman in our neighborhood as some kind of villain. Looking back now, I realize the truth was far more complex and heartbreaking than any of us could have imagined. I was 14 when all the boys in my class started talking about the woman who had just moved into our quiet suburban neighborhood. She was striking in a way that made people notice, with platinum blonde hair that caught the sunlight, long legs that seemed to go on forever, and she always wore this delicate pearl necklace that looked like it belonged to someone's grandmother. The boys in my class were absolutely convinced they had a chance with her, which would have been laughable if it wasn't so concerning. The rumors started almost immediately. She was constantly seen hanging around the areas where all the long-haul truckers parked their rigs at the truck stop just outside our neighborhood. Some of the boys from school swore on their lives that they had seen her climbing into different trucks and emerging later with her lipstick smudged and her hair disheveled. Others claimed with absolute certainty that she had been arrested twice for solicitation, though somehow the charges always seemed to get dropped before anything came of it. Growing up in my conservative household, I had been taught from a young age that we should be kind to everyone, that judgment was for God alone, and that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. But when it came to this particular neighbor, my parents seemed to forget every lesson they had ever taught me about compassion and understanding. They told me in no uncertain terms that she was a terrible influence, a woman of questionable morals who I should avoid at all costs. My mother would purse her lips whenever she saw her, and my father would mutter under his breath about property values and the kind of people moving into our once respectable neighborhood. So like any curious teenager told to stay away from something, I became absolutely fascinated. I gathered all my information from the neighborhood gossip mill and from behind the safety of my bedroom curtain, watching her comings and goings like some kind of amateur detective. To be completely honest, based on all the salacious rumors, I expected to see her strutting around in those impossibly tight shorts that were all over social media, or at least wearing those optical illusion flare pants that made everyone do a double take. But the reality was so different from the gossip. Every single day, regardless of the weather, she wore loose-fitting trousers and oversized hoodies that swallowed her frame. Even when the temperature soared past 100 degrees and the rest of us were melting in tank tops and shorts, she remained covered from neck to ankle. After about a week of observation, I did see her with a man who was kissing her in her front garden. But he didn't look like a customer or some random trucker. He seemed like a boyfriend, someone who cared about her. The way he held her face gently when he kissed her goodbye, the way she smiled at him, soft and genuine. It didn't match the narrative everyone was spinning about her at all. Nothing else about her behavior made sense either. For example, she would time her daily walks with almost military precision to appear at the school bus stop at exactly 3:15 in the afternoon. But here's what really confused me. She never looked at the boys getting off the bus, not once. Her attention was always focused intently on the high school girls walking home, watching them with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. It wasn't predatory or creepy. If anything, she looked concerned, almost protective. I was so curious that my brain felt like it was literally itching with unanswered questions. Questions I thought would remain mysteries forever, until one evening in July that changed everything. It was around 9 o'clock on a Thursday night, and I was walking my golden Labrador, Marley. He was a big, goofy dog who loved everyone and assumed everyone loved him back. My phone had died earlier in the day, and I'd forgotten to charge it before taking Marley out. The smart thing would have been to take our usual route around the well-lit residential streets, but I thought cutting through the truck stop would be faster. Stupid, I know. Incredibly, dangerously stupid. I was about halfway through the lot, weaving between the massive 18-wheelers, when a man stepped out from between two semis. He looked about 40, wearing a red flannel shirt despite the warm evening. He had the appearance of someone's dad, someone who might coach Little League or flip burgers at a neighborhood barbecue. "Hey, sweetheart," he called out, his voice friendly but somehow wrong. "Are you lost?" "Just passing through," I said, gripping Marley's leash tighter and trying to walk faster without looking like I was running away. "Where are you headed?" he asked, moving closer. "I can give you a ride, Pretty girl like you shouldn't be walking alone out here. That's when another man appeared from the other side of the trucks. He was slightly younger, maybe early 30s, wearing a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. They were closing in on me casually, like this was perfectly normal, like they were just being helpful neighbors. My dad's picking me up right there, I lied, pointing vaguely ahead toward the street. My voice came out higher than usual, betraying my fear. Baseball cap laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. That's funny, he said, because I don't see any cars waiting. They were steering me now, using their bodies to guide me toward a truck that sat apart from the others. It had no company logo, no identifying marks. The back doors were slightly open, and I could see that the interior had been modified somehow. There were locks on the outside of the doors. Why would a truck need locks on the outside? My heart was pounding so hard, I was sure they could hear it. Marley, usually so friendly, was growling low in his throat, sensing my fear. Suddenly, she appeared. The woman from my neighborhood materialized from nowhere like some kind of guardian angel in a hoodie. "Liam!" she slurred, looking convincingly drunk. "You promised to wait for me, baby." She draped herself over the man in the flannel shirt, who I guess was Liam. Her movements were exaggerated, theatrical. She was playing a part. "Get lost!" he snarled, trying to shake her off while maintaining his grip on my upper arm. His fingers were digging in hard enough to bruise. She wailed louder, making a scene. "You said you loved me! You said I was special!" Then, without warning, she made this horrible retching sound and vomited all over his shoes. Real vomit. The smell was absolutely awful, sour and pungent in the warm night air. He let go of me in disgust, cursing and jumping back. The moment his grip loosened, she stumbled between us, her body creating a barrier. In the chaos, she grabbed my hand and squeezed it so hard I thought she might break my fingers. 5 brutal squeezes in rapid succession. I understood immediately. It was a signal. Run. Baseball cap tried to grab me, but she drunkenly fell into him too, her elbow catching him hard in the solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping. I ran. I ran faster than I had ever run in my life, Marley galloping beside me, his leash wrapped tight around my hand. I ran all the way home, my lungs burning, my legs shaking, tears streaming down my face. As soon as my parents woke up the next morning, I tried to tell them everything. I was still shaking, the bruises on my arm turning purple. "Mom, last night something happened. Something terrible." "Oh, trust me, I already heard all about it." Her tone was ice cold, angrier than I'd ever heard her. "Mrs. Tarrington saw you with that woman. Do you have any idea how dangerous she is? How could you be so stupid?" I tried to explain about the men, about the modified truck with the locks on the outside, about how she had saved me, but my father cut me off. "She's been harassing drivers for weeks, making false accusations about trafficking," he said, his face red with anger. "You're lucky those poor men aren't pressing charges against you for being involved in her lies." My mother was already on the phone with her therapist friend, Dr. Reyes, putting him on speaker so I could hear. "This is textbook predator behavior," Dr. Reyes explained in his calm, professional voice that made everything sound like fact. "They create a fake danger scenario, then save you from it. It's called trauma bonding. She's probably trying to recruit young girls for her own purposes." By dinner, they had convinced themselves that I had almost been recruited by the woman for some nefarious purpose. They talked and talked, analyzing every detail, twisting the narrative until even my own memory felt unreliable. Maybe I had imagined the locks on the truck. Maybe those men really were just tired truckers trying to be helpful. Maybe the woman had staged the whole thing, but there was one thing I couldn't forget. One piece of evidence that made their version impossible to believe. The bruises her grip had left on my hand. 5 perfect purple marks where she had squeezed with desperate strength. Those bruises were real. The fear in her eyes when she looked at me was real. And the relief I'd felt when she appeared was definitely real. A week later, I woke up to shouting outside. It was 2 a.m, and through my window, I could see an angry crowd gathered in front of her house. Someone had organized a mob. "We know what you are!" someone yelled. She stood on her porch, arms crossed over her chest, saying absolutely nothing. Her face was like stone. Someone else threw a rock that shattered her front window with a sharp crack. "Kitty Fiddler!" Mrs. Tarrington screamed, her face twisted with righteous anger. "Getting our daughters involved in your sick games. Those truckers told us everything," another voice shouted. "How you lure girls to them and then pretend to save them. We're on to your game." I watched the woman's face, expecting anger or fear, but she just looked tired, bone-deep exhausted, like she had been through this before, maybe many times, like she knew exactly how this would play out. That's when I saw him. Baseball cap from the truck stop, standing at the edge of the crowd, recording everything on his phone. Nobody else noticed him, but she did. Their eyes met for a split second, and I saw her jaw clench. He gave her a little mock salute before melting back into the darkness. The next morning, when I went to bring Marley inside from the front garden, I noticed a piece of paper tucked into the inside of his collar. My hands shook as I unfolded it. The handwriting was neat, precise. Thursday nights, trucks transport missing teens across state lines. The local cops take bribes. Agent Williams at the FBI field office will believe you. Don't trust anyone else. I stared at the note, my hands trembling. The paper was slightly damp from Marley's drool, but the message was crystal clear. Agent Williams, FBI. Thursday nights. I shoved the note deep into my pocket just as my mother opened the front door. "Get inside right now," she snapped, her eyes scanning the street. "And bring that dog with you. I don't want him anywhere near that woman's property." The house felt suffocating after that. My dad was pacing in the living room, his phone pressed to his ear. "Yes, we understand completely. We'll keep her away from that woman. You have our word." "Who was that?" I asked, though I already suspected. "The police," Mom said, her lips pressed into a thin line. "They're handling the situation. You're not to go near that house again. Do you understand me? Not even to walk past it." I wanted to scream that they had it all backwards, that the real danger wasn't from her, but from the men at the truck stop. But the note felt like it was burning through my pocket, and something told me to keep quiet. Instead, I just nodded and went upstairs. From my bedroom window, I watched the crowd slowly disperse as the sun came up. The woman stayed on her porch until the very last person left, then finally went inside. I noticed she didn't bother boarding up the broken window. What was the point? They'd just break another one. The next day, my cousin Jake arrived for his annual summer visit. He was 3 years older than me, about to start college, and the only family member who didn't treat me like I was made of glass or too stupid to understand the real world. "Heard you had some excitement," he said, dumping his duffel bag in the guest room. His tone was casual, but his eyes were sharp, assessing. My mother had already gotten to him. "Jake's going to help keep an eye on you this summer," she announced at breakfast, like I was 5 years old. "Make sure you don't get mixed up with any more trouble." Jake caught my eye and winked. I felt a flutter of hope. Later, when our parents went grocery shopping, he cornered me in the kitchen. "Okay, spill," he said. "What really happened?" I told him everything. The men at the truck stop, the woman saving me, the bruises, the mob, the note about the FBI. I showed him the marks on my hand, which had faded to a sickly yellow-green. Jake listened without interrupting, his expression growing more serious with each detail. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Show me the note," he said finally. I retrieved it from where I'd hidden it inside my old diary. Jake studied it carefully, holding it up to the light. "This is real," he said, and something in his voice made me pay attention. The handwriting, the paper quality, the way she folded it. Someone who knows tradecraft wrote this. Tradecraft? Spy stuff. Look! He pointed to faint indentations on the paper. "She wrote this on top of something else, probably destroyed the original. And see how she avoided touching the edges? No fingerprints except yours." He pulled out his laptop. "Let's see what we can find about our mysterious neighbor." We spent the next hour searching. Jake was surprisingly good at this, knowing which databases to check, how to search cached pages and archived sites. Finally, he found something. "Here," he said, turning the screen toward me. The article was from 3 years ago. Diana Morrison, licensed youth counselor, awarded for innovative therapy programs. The photo showed a younger version of our neighbor, smiling at a community center ribbon cutting. She looked happy, hopeful. What happened 3 years ago? I asked. Jake clicked through more links, his frown deepening. Says here she lost her license for inappropriate intervention in family matters and making unsubstantiated allegations against respected treatment facilities. What does that mean? It means she tried to blow the whistle on something and got burned for it. He found another article. Look at this. She testified against a wilderness therapy program, claiming they were abusing kids. The program sued her for defamation and won. She lost everything, her practice, her reputation, her savings in legal fees. I thought about her watching the high school girls at the bus stop. So she's still trying to protect kids, just unofficially now? Looks like it. Jake's fingers flew over the keyboard. And get this. Those two guys from the truck stop? I found a missing persons database. Liam Harwick and Troy Benderson. They're persons of interest in 3 different cases of missing teenage girls. My blood ran cold. We have to tell someone. We will, Jake said. But we need to be smart about it. Your parents won't believe us, and apparently the local cops are compromised. That leaves the FBI agent she mentioned. How do we even contact the FBI? Jake smiled grimly. Leave that to me. I have some connections from my internship last summer. But first, we need more evidence. Over the next few days, Jake and I became investigators. We took turns watching the truck stop from a safe distance, him with a telephoto lens he'd borrowed from his photography class. Thursday night came, and just like the note had said, we saw trucks leaving the lot in a convoy around midnight. They had no company logos, just like the one I'd almost been forced into. We need to follow them, I said. Absolutely not, Jake replied. We're not action heroes. We document and report. But I couldn't just sit there. Those trucks might have girls in them right now. Girls like me, who hadn't been lucky enough to have Diana Morrison appear at just the right moment. What about her? I asked suddenly. Diana! She must be watching too. Jake lowered his camera. You're right. And if she's been doing this for 3 years since losing her license, she must have evidence, lots of it. But how do we make contact? Your parents are watching you like hawks. I thought about Marley and his collar. I have an idea. The next morning, I took Marley for his walk, making sure to pass by Diana's house. My mother watched from the window, but she couldn't object to me walking on the public sidewalk. As we passed, I accidentally dropped Marley's ball into her front garden. Oops, I said loudly, for my mother's benefit. Silly dog. As I retrieved the ball, I slipped a note under a decorative rock near her porch. It simply said, Thursday night. We saw them. Want to help. The girl from the truck stop. That evening, I found a response in Marley's collar. Diana's handwriting was unmistakable. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Youth Center on Maple. Volunteer orientation. Bring your cousin. My heart raced. The youth center was public, safe. My parents couldn't object to me volunteering. The next day, I told my mother I wanted to volunteer at the youth center. Maybe it will help me process what happened, I said, playing into their narrative that I was a traumatized victim. She was thrilled. What a wonderful idea. Giving back to the community is so healing. Jake offered to go with me, the protective older cousin. Mom practically pushed us out the door. The youth center was busy, full of kids playing basketball and doing art projects. Diana was there, wearing a volunteer badge, helping a group of younger girls with a puzzle. She didn't acknowledge us at first. New volunteers? The director asked cheerfully. Wonderful! Let me get you started on the paperwork. It wasn't until an hour later, during a break, that Diana approached us. Up close, I could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of carrying this burden alone. You're the girl from the truck stop, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Those men are part of a larger network, she finished. I've been tracking them for 3 years. No one believes me, or rather, the people who matter have been paid not to believe me. We believe you, Jake said. And we have photos from Thursday night. Something flickered in her eyes. Hope, maybe. Show me. We huddled in a corner, Jake showing her the images on his camera. Her face went very still. This is more than I've been able to get, she admitted. They've gotten careless, probably because they think I'm neutralized. What happened 3 years ago? I asked. The real story. Diana was quiet for a long moment. I was treating a girl, 15 years old. She'd been sent to a wilderness therapy program by her parents. When she came back, she was broken. Not better. Broken. She told me things, horrible things. When I tried to report it, I found out the program had connections everywhere. Judges, police, child protective services. They destroyed me professionally, but I couldn't stop. Those kids, her voice cracked. Someone has to watch out for them. The trucks, Jake said. Where do they go? Different places. Wilderness programs, conversion camps, teen treatment facilities. All legal on paper. All connected underneath. Parents pay enormous fees thinking they're helping their troubled teens. They have no idea what really happens. And the girls? Diana's jaw tightened. The ones who fight back, who won't break, who try to expose what's happening. They disappear, listed as runaways, but I know better. I thought about how easily I could have vanished that night. How my parents would have believed I'd run off with the dangerous woman. We want to help, I said. No. Diana's response was immediate. You're children. I won't have you putting yourselves at risk. We're already at risk, Jake pointed out. They saw her that night. They know she got away. Diana looked between us, clearly torn. Finally, she sighed. If you're serious, there are ways you can help that don't involve direct confrontation. But first, you need to understand what you're really up against. She pulled out a battered notebook. This is 3 years of documentation. License plates, patterns, connections. The man you call baseball cap? His name is Tyler Benderson. He's a recruiter, finds vulnerable girls, gains their trust, then delivers them to the programs. The parents usually pay him a finder's fee, thinking he's some kind of interventionist. Dr. Reyes, I said suddenly. My mom's therapist friend. He called your intervention trauma bonding. Diana's face darkened. Dr. Marcus Reyes. He refers at least 2 kids a month to these programs. Gets a nice kickback for each one. The pieces were clicking together in a horrible picture. He's grooming the parents, Jake said, making them think their kids are worse than they are, then offering the solution. Exactly. And once the kids are in the system, anything they say is dismissed as manipulation or mental illness. I felt sick. How many kids had been sent away based on Dr. Reyes's recommendations? How many parents thought they were helping? The FBI agent, I said. Agent Williams, you trust him? He's the only one who's ever taken me seriously. But even he needs solid evidence. The network is too well connected, too well funded. They have lawyers, politicians, even judges. Then we get evidence, Jake said simply. Real, undeniable evidence. Diana studied us for a long moment. You remind me of myself before, she said quietly. So sure you can make a difference. Maybe you can. God knows I haven't been able to alone. She tore a page from her notebook. This is a secure email, encrypted. If you're serious about this, we communicate only through this channel. No phones, no social media, nothing traceable. We spent the rest of the afternoon legitimately volunteering, but my mind was racing. I was in over my head, but I couldn't walk away, not knowing what I knew now. That night at dinner, my mother was ecstatic about my volunteering. I'm so proud of you for choosing something positive, she gushed. Dr. Reyes says community service is excellent for processing trauma. I forced a smile, the food tasting like ash in my mouth. Dr. Reyes, how many kids had he sent into that nightmare? Actually, I said carefully, there's a girl at the center, Megan. She seems really troubled, keeps talking about running away. It was a lie, but I wanted to see their reaction. My mother and father exchanged glances. Running away? Mom repeated. How old? 15. Her parents seem nice, but she says they don't understand her. You should mention it to Dr. Reyes, Dad said. He specializes in troubled teens. Maybe he could help. That's a great idea, I said, my stomach churning. I'll ask her more about it tomorrow. Jake caught my eye. We had our next move. Over the following weeks, we built our case. Jake and I continued volunteering at the youth center, where Diana taught us how to recognize signs of abuse, how to document everything, how to protect ourselves. She never directly involved us in anything dangerous, but she did teach us how to see. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The haunted look in certain kids' eyes, the way some flinched at raised voices, the parents who seemed more interested in control than their children's well-being. Meanwhile, I played a careful game at home. I mentioned Megan regularly, building a profile of a troubled teen who fit the exact pattern Dr. Reyes preferred. Defiant but not violent, smart but underperforming, questioning authority, perfect wilderness therapy material. She asked me about emancipation today, I told my parents over dinner one night. I didn't know what to tell her. My mother immediately reached for her phone. "I'm calling Dr. Reyes. This is escalating." "Maybe I should talk to her first," I suggested. "She trusts me. If I could get her to open up about what's really going on." "That's very mature of you," Dad said approvingly. "But remember, you're not a professional. If she's truly in crisis, she needs expert help." Expert help. I thought about Diana, who had been an expert until she'd tried to protect kids instead of profit from them. The next day, Dr. Reyes showed up at the youth center. My blood ran cold when I saw him talking to the director, his concerned expression perfectly crafted. "I heard there's a troubled young woman here," he said. "Megan? I'd love to speak with her, see if I can help." The director looked confused. "Megan? We don't have anyone by that name currently." Dr. Reyes frowned, then spotted me. His smile was warm, professional. "Hello, dear. Your mother mentioned you were worried about a friend." I played dumb. "Oh, she must have misunderstood. I was talking about a character in a book we're reading for our book club here. Megan's story. It's about teenage struggles." His eyes narrowed slightly, but his smile never wavered. "How wonderful that you're so engaged with literature. Still, if you ever do encounter a real teenager in crisis, please let adults handle it. We're trained for these situations." "Of course," I said sweetly. I would never try to handle something so serious on my own. After he left, Diana appeared beside me. "That was dangerous," she said quietly. "He's suspicious now." "Good," I said. "Let him wonder." But Jake was more cautious. "We need to be careful, if they realize we're onto them." He was right, of course. But I was angry. How many kids had Dr. Reyes sent away? How many parents had he manipulated? That night, I found another note from Diana. This time, it was different. "They're moving on another girl, Thursday, 9 p.m. Can't intervene alone anymore. They know my face." My hands shook. Another girl, someone's daughter, sister, friend, about to be taken. I showed Jake the note. His face was grim. "We can't let it happen, but we can't stop it ourselves either. Then we document everything. Get proof even the corrupted locals can't ignore." Thursday came too quickly. Jake and I told our parents we were going to a movie. Instead, we positioned ourselves where we could watch the truck stop safely. Jake had his camera with the telephoto lens. I had a backup phone, fully charged. 9 p.m. came and went. Then at 9:17 we saw her. A girl, maybe 16, walking through the truck stop. She looked confident, unafraid. She had no idea. Tyler Benderson appeared first, casual as could be. He approached her with a smile, gesturing toward the food mart. She laughed at something he said. They walked together, him subtly guiding her toward the darker area where the unmarked trucks waited. "Where's Diana?" I whispered. "There," Jake pointed. She was already in position, but something was wrong. Two men were following her, keeping pace. They knew she was there. "It's a trap," Jake breathed. "They're using the girl as bait to get Diana." I thought of all the girls Diana had saved over the years, operating alone, carrying this burden by herself. How many times had she risked everything? "Call 911, I told Jake. The cops are compromised, remember? Then make them come anyway. Report a fire, an accident, anything. Just get witnesses here." Jake started dialing. I did something stupid. I ran toward the scene. "Hey!" I shouted, my voice carrying across the lot. "Sarah, there you are. Mom's looking everywhere for you." The girl turned, confused. "I'm not—" "Come on," I said, grabbing her arm. "We're already late." Tyler's face darkened. "She's with me." "She's my sister," I said firmly. "And she's 15. Want to explain to my mom why you're hanging out with her?" It was a bluff, but it worked. The girl might not have been my sister, but she definitely wasn't 18. Tyler knew it, and he knew I knew it. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jake had done it. Tyler stepped back, hands raised. Just a misunderstanding. He melted away into the shadows. The two men following Deanna had also vanished. She emerged from her hiding spot, and for the first time, I saw her really smile. That was incredibly brave, she said, and incredibly stupid. Learned from the best, I replied. The girl, whose name turned out to be Rebecca, was confused but safe. Her parents had dropped her at the truck stop to meet a youth counselor who was going to take her to a special program for her behavioral issues. The police who responded were clearly annoyed by the false fire alarm, but they couldn't ignore Rebecca's story. One officer, younger than the others, actually took notes. "This counselor," he asked, "did you get a name?" "Tyler something," Rebecca said. "Dr. Reyes referred him. Said he specialized in helping troubled teens." The officer's pen stopped moving. He looked up, meeting Diana's eyes. Something passed between them. "I'll need full statements from everyone," he said. "Downtown, official record." The other officers protested, but he insisted. "By the book," he said firmly. "At the station, we told our story. All of it. The attempted kidnapping, the trucks, the network." The young officer, Detective Chen, listened to everything. He was especially interested in Jake's photos. "This is good," he said. "Real good. But it's not enough for the locals to act on. Too many connections, too much money involved." "Agent Williams at the FBI," Diana said. "He's been building a case." Detective Chen nodded. "I know. I've been feeding him information when I can. But even he needs more. Something undeniable." "What kind of something?" Jake asked. "Documentation, financial records, victim testimony, something that shows the whole network, not just pieces." Diana was quiet for a moment. Then, "I might have something, but I'll need help getting it," she explained. For 3 years, she'd been building a cache of evidence. Documents, recordings, testimonies from kids who'd aged out of the system and were finally willing to talk. But it was hidden, and retrieving it would be dangerous. "Where?" Detective Chen asked. "Storage unit on the outskirts of town. But they watch it. I haven't been able to get there in months." "We'll create a distraction," Jake said. "Draw their attention elsewhere while you retrieve it." "Absolutely not," Diana and Detective Chen said simultaneously. "But I had another idea. What if we don't have to distract them? What if we make them think they've already won?" I outlined my plan. It was risky, but it might work. The next morning, I had a very public breakdown. In the middle of the youth center, I started crying hysterically about Megan and how I'd failed to help her. "She's gone," I wailed. "Her parents sent her away, and it's all my fault." Word travels fast in a small town. By afternoon, my mother had heard from 3 different sources about my episode. "Sweetheart," she said, pulling me into a hug, "this isn't your fault. Some children just need more help than we can give them." I sniffled. "I think I need to talk to someone, a professional. Maybe Dr. Reyes?" My mother's face lit up. "I think that's a wonderful idea." The appointment was scheduled for the next day. Meanwhile, Diana retrieved her evidence cache, while everyone was focused on the troubled girl finally seeking help. That night, Jake and I reviewed what Diana had retrieved. It was damning. Financial records showing kickbacks to referring therapists, testimonies from dozens of survivors, photos of injuries, records of kids who'd entered the system and never came out. "This is it," Jake breathed. "This will bring them all down." But we had to be smart about how we used it. One wrong move, and it could all disappear, along with us. The next day, I sat in Dr. Reyes's office, playing the part of the traumatized teenager. His office was expensively furnished, all soft colors and comfortable chairs designed to make you feel safe. "Tell me about the night at the truck stop," he said gently. "Your mother mentioned you've been having nightmares." I had been having nightmares, but not the kind he thought. I dreamed of all the kids who'd sat in this chair before me, pouring out their hearts, never knowing they were being evaluated for deportation to hell. It was scary, I admitted, but also confusing. Like everyone says Diana is dangerous, but she helped me. "Sometimes people do good things for bad reasons," Dr. Reyes explained. "She might have genuinely helped you, but that doesn't mean she's safe to be around." "I guess," I said. "It's just, I keep thinking about the other girls, the ones who might not get help in time." His eyes sharpened. "Other girls?" Oh, just, statistics. I've been reading about missing teenagers. It's really scary how many disappear. Is that what's bothering you? Fear that you could have been one of them? I nodded, letting tears fall. They were real tears, but not for the reason he thought. I think, he said slowly, that you might benefit from a more intensive therapeutic environment. Somewhere safe, away from these triggers, where you can process your trauma properly. There it was, the pitch. Like what? I asked, wide-eyed and innocent. There are several excellent programs. Wilderness therapy, for instance. Being in nature, away from modern stressors, learning self-reliance. It can be transformative. That sounds nice, I said, but also scary. Going somewhere without my family. Oh, parents can visit, he assured me. Eventually, after the initial adjustment period, usually about 3 months. 3 months. I thought of Rebecca, almost in a truck last night. 3 months of no contact, no oversight, no escape. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course, he smiled. But don't take too long. These programs fill up quickly, and I'd hate for you to miss this opportunity. I left his office feeling dirty. He was so smooth, so convincing. How many parents had sat where my mother would sit, desperate to help their struggling child, never suspecting they were being sold? That night, everything came to a head. Diana had arranged a meeting with Agent Williams. He'd driven down from the field office to review the evidence personally. We met at the youth center after hours, Detective Chen keeping watch. Agent Williams was not what I expected from an FBI agent. He was younger, maybe early 30s, with kind eyes and a rumpled suit that suggested he'd driven straight from another case. Ms. Morrison, he said, shaking Diana's hand. I've been hoping you'd reach out again. I never stopped believing you. Diana's eyes filled with tears. After 3 years of being called crazy, someone in authority was taking her seriously. We spread the evidence across the table. Agent Williams reviewed each piece carefully, asking occasional questions. His expression grew darker with each document. This is enough, he said finally. More than enough. We can move on this. When? Diana asked. Soon. But we need to do this right. One synchronized operation to get them all. If we move too early, they'll scatter and regroup. How long? I pressed. Because Dr. Reyes is trying to send me to one of these programs right now. Agent Williams' head snapped up. He's targeting you? I explained about my fake breakdown, the appointment, his recommendation. That's perfect, he said, though he looked troubled. If you're willing, you could wear a wire. Get him on tape explicitly discussing the kickbacks. Absolutely not, Diana said. She's a child. She's done enough. I'll do it, I said. How many kids will get sent away if we wait? I'll do it. We argued for 20 minutes, but eventually, Diana realized I wasn't backing down. Agent Williams assured us I'd be completely safe, that agents would be right outside. One meeting, he said. Get him talking about the financial arrangements. That's all we need. The meeting was scheduled for Friday, 2 days to prepare, 2 days to be terrified, but also 2 days where no kids would be sent away, because all eyes were on me. Thursday night, Jake and I were in my room, going over the plan one more time, when we heard shouting outside. We ran to the window. The mob was back at Diana's house, but this time it was different. This time, they had torches. Actual torches, like something out of an old monster movie. Burn the witch! Someone shouted. She's poisoning our children against us. Diana stood on her porch again, but this time she wasn't alone. Detective Chen was with her, in full uniform, hand on his weapon. Disperse immediately, he commanded. This is an unlawful assembly. You're protecting a predator, someone screamed. She's protecting your children, Chen shot back, which is more than I can say for some of you. The crowd grew uglier. Someone threw a torch toward the house. It landed in the garden, setting a bush on fire. That's it, Chen said. He called for backup, then began arresting people, starting with the torch thrower. I recognized faces in the crowd. Parents of kids I knew, people from church, supposedly good people, all convinced they were righteous, never questioning who had convinced them Diana was evil. The fire department arrived, then more police. The mob scattered, but the damage was done. Diana's front garden was scorched, her windows broken, her car vandalized. I wanted to go to her, but Jake held me back. Tomorrow, he said. After the meeting. After we end this. Friday came like a storm. I wore the wire Agent Williams gave me, hidden under a loose sweater. FBI agents were positioned around Dr. Reyes's building, ready to move. Just get him talking about money, Agent Williams reminded me. Be natural. You're a concerned teenager whose parents want to send her away. You want to know about costs. I sat in Dr. Reyes's office for the second time, my heart pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. Have you thought about our conversation? He asked. I have, I said. My parents seem really interested, but they're worried about the cost. We're not rich. Oh, there are ways to manage that, he assured me. Insurance often covers part of it, and I have relationships with several programs that offer flexible payment plans. Relationships? I asked innocently. I've been referring families to these programs for years, he said proudly. They trust my judgment. In return, they make sure my referrals get priority placement and the best possible rates. That's nice of them, I said. Do they, give you anything for helping families? He paused, studying me. For a moment, I thought I'd pushed too hard. Why do you ask? Oh, just, my dad's in sales. He always talks about referral bonuses and stuff. I wondered if it was like that. He relaxed. Something like that. The programs recognize that I'm providing a valuable service, connecting families in need with appropriate resources. There's a small administrative fee they provide to cover my time and expertise in making these matches. How small? I asked. It varies. Usually about 10-15% of the program fee. For a 6-month wilderness program, that might be around $7,000. There it was, on tape. Wow, I said. That seems like a lot. The programs must be really expensive. Quality care isn't cheap, he said. But can you really put a price on a child's future? I wanted to throw up. $7,000 per kid. How many had he sent? What happens to kids who don't want to go? I asked. Well, that's why we have transport services, he explained. Professional youth escorts who specialize in reluctant participants. They're very good at what they do. Like Tyler? I asked, taking a huge risk. His eyes narrowed. You know Tyler? I heard someone mention him at the youth center. Tyler's one of the best, Dr. Reyes said slowly. Very effective at gaining trust and ensuring safe transport, even if the kids don't want to go. Especially then. You see, teenagers often don't know what's best for them. That's why parents have to make hard decisions. I thought of the locks on the outside of the truck doors. I should go, I said. My mom's picking me up. Think about what I've said, he urged. These programs really can change lives. Oh, I know, I said. You've definitely opened my eyes. I walked out of his office on shaky legs. As soon as I cleared the building, Agent Williams' team moved in. The arrests happened simultaneously across 3 states. Dr. Reyes was taken into custody at his office. Tyler Benderson was grabbed at a truck stop 2 hours away. The owners of 5 therapeutic programs were arrested at their facilities, where investigators found conditions that made the news anchors cry when they reported them. Diana Morrison was cleared of all past allegations. The programs that had destroyed her reputation were exposed as the abusers. But she took no victory lap. She just kept working, now with official support, to help the kids who were finally free. The trials took months. I testified in 3 of them, telling my story over and over. Each time, I saw the faces of parents in the gallery who'd been deceived, who'd paid thousands to have their children traumatized. Dr. Reyes got 15 years. Tyler got 20. The program owners got various sentences, but all substantial. The network was shattered. But Diana warned us it would reform. It always did. New names, new methods, same evil. That's why we keep watching, she said. I'm 18 now. I still volunteer at the youth center, but now I'm trained to spot the signs Diana taught me. I'm studying social work in college, planning to become what Diana was before they destroyed her, a legitimate advocate for children. Jake's in law school, specializing in child advocacy law. He says he's going to make sure people like Dr. Reyes can never practice again. My parents eventually came to understand the truth. It was hard for them to accept that they'd been so wrong, that they'd nearly sent me into the hands of predators. But they learned. Now my mother volunteers with Diana, helping other parents see through the manipulation. And Diana? She still lives in that little house with the scorched garden. She still watches. But now she's not alone. There's a whole network of us, survivors and advocates, making sure no child stands alone against the darkness. We can't save everyone. Some kids still disappear into programs that haven't been exposed yet, but we save who we can, and we never stop trying. Because sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they wear hoodies and pearls and carry the weight of other people's children on their shoulders. Sometimes they're the ones everyone calls crazy, right up until the moment they save your life. Sometimes the villain in your neighborhood is the only one standing between you and the real monsters. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get to stand with them.